Welcome everyone to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I'm Linnea Nelson, the chair of the worship team, and I am so delighted to bring JeKaren Olaoya to our sanctuary once again. I admire her so greatly for her writing and just her overall being. Sitting next to her all morning is going to be awesome. So JeKaren Olaoya uses the pronoun she, her, and is a lifelong UU, poet, writer, mixed media artist, and death and grief doula. She currently serves on the UUA Board of Trustees and has recently graduated from Star King School for the Ministry and the MDiv Chaplaincy Program. She is an earth-based African spiritualities practitioner with a foundation in Christianity. She draws from the guidance of her ancestors for spiritual care. We have been blessed to have her preach both in person and via recording before. And also in today's service is a director of Lifespan Religious Enrichment, Judah Stein-Farrell, director of music, Aubrey Connelly-Candelario, and Michael Lewis from the Board of Trustees. We welcome all to join us as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into a community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Today, our children will be sung out after time for all ages to join the green team for a fun recycling experience in the assembly room. And the youth are welcome to join them or remain in the service. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation and announcements, go to orlandouu.org or email info@orlandouu.org. And I now invite Steve Hanna, the chairperson of the music team, to the pulpit for a brief announcement.
Hi, folks. So I expect that you have heard the music that we've had in the courtyard the last few weeks, or read in our newsletter about the Holly Near concert that's coming on September 9th. Very excited about that. So I want to share with you a little bit about why, as we can see here, Holly Near turns my world upside down and has been doing so for about 40 years now. So Holly is a wonderful musician. She has shown me how we can all be a part of a virtuous cycle where music inspires us to activism, which inspires people to make more great music, which inspires new generations to activism. Holly is part of a chain of this virtuous cycle going back to Pete Seeger and Ronnie Gilbert, from whom she was inspired by them. And then on from there, she inspired Emma's Revolution. And there's actually a wonderful documentary now on PBS. You can find it on their website about Holly, and it features Jane Fonda and Gloria Steinem talking about how Holly inspired a new generation of activists. So I'm so excited that we're bringing her here September 9th, Saturday evening. And if you would like to get tickets, you can get one of these handbills during the social hour. And in fact, Libby will have her iPad. So the handbills gives you the link, but you could just go to Libby and buy the tickets right there. So I look forward to seeing you on September 9th.
Thank you, Steve. I have our tickets. All other announcements are on slides before and after the service, have links in the weekly update or on our website, posted in the order of service, which you can access via our QR code. Thanks again for being here in person or online today.
Good morning. We are going to light our chalice. If you would please say these words with me. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. The words will be projected on the screen.
Call to Worship. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and deep through the trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. And now at this time, we will greet one another in love.
Well, howdy again. For those who don't know me, my name is Judith Stein Farrell. I am the Director of Lifespan Religious Enrichment. And I am about to do the Time for All Ages, just in case anyone doesn't know. If I ever say I'm doing the TFAA, that's what I'm in. Inviting all children and children at heart to come up and join me up here on the carpet. Oh, and I was worried there weren't any children here this morning. I love it. So, Daniele, can I get your help? What do you think is in this? What is this, first of all? What is that cube there? Ooh. It's a seed. It could be, and it may be in a minute. And a storage box. It's a box. So I would like it if you would open up the box and distribute the things that are in it so that all the kids can have some. And the rest of you are just going to have to follow along to the best of, just kind of follow what's going on as we go. So do you think you could open that up and see what's inside? What do you think's inside?
Recycling stuff.
Not, yeah, that's what they're going to be doing later. That makes sense, but not today, although it might be recyclable. So, all right, can y'all back up so Daniele can see what's inside? Okay. Yep, okay. So what do you think? Can you open the box? Ooh, all right, what's inside? Scissors. Paper. Is there enough for everybody? All right. Can everyone take one pair of scissors and one piece of paper? Daniele, can you help everybody get them? Or Fluffy, will you help me just so nobody gets poked in the eye? Okay. Now we are going to do something together this morning, and they may do whatever they want, but I'm going to do something, in theory. So, all right. So make sure everyone has paper and scissors. There we go. All right. So folks, now we're going to do something together, and whatever you do is perfect. So once upon a time, I used to know a bunch of artists in New York City, and I was talking to this artist who made this absolutely wonderful creation. And I said to them, how do you do that? And they said, well, come with me and I'll show you. Okay? So they took me on a walk. And we took a long walk, and we walked around buildings, and we walked around nature, and we came across trees, and they said, I wait until I find the item I am going to make art from. Right? What do you think maybe we came across that they wanted to make art from that day? Daniele, what? Paper. You think they made paper? Good. That's a possibility. What if they wanted rocks or a tree or something? What would they make then? Make it out of? Sorry? Leaves, possibly, exactly. Leaves are a good one. Paper is a good one. Both of those things are good. So we were walking around, and sure enough, they said, so what I do is I walk around until I find exactly what I'm looking for that speaks to me, that says it's ready to be made into art. I don't tell it what it's going to be. I don't tell it decide what I'm going to make art from. I let the thing tell me. So in this case, you're right. They came up with a leaf from a tree, right? They found a leaf from a tree, a big leaf, big leaf. And then I said, well, how do you know what you're going to make from it? How do you decide what you're going to do? And the artist said, I don't decide. The item I'm making art from tells me what they need me to, what they are inside themselves. So I wait and I study the thing. Sometimes it's a big rock and sometimes it's a big tree, and we just sit there sometimes and just sit and just wait until I know what to do. And then we start working together. And sometimes I know exactly what to do. It just is clear. And sometimes we try things, and sometimes we take things away. Sometimes we add things. Let's see. Sometimes we add things to what we're doing. Right. Sometimes we add things. Sometimes I try something and it's not perfect, so I try again, right? And then eventually, the item and I realize what it was meant to be. It becomes what it is, but it was always there to begin with. But sometimes it takes a little bit of time, and we don't always know right away. And we try new things until we get to be, until the item gets to be who it is. And then it becomes the perfect thing, whatever that perfect item is, that perfect being. And I didn't tell it, says the artist, anything. I did not tell it what to be. It helped me figure it out. And that's my message to you. Who's the artists? Who are artists here? All of us, yes. And who are our projects, the things we're making? What are our projects? You're working on your paper. Sometimes it's a thing, and sometimes it's all of you, and all of you, and all of you. See, I always look at the sign up there. I'm assuming all of you. And you become exactly what you want to be because it's all inside you. But sometimes it takes a little time. And that's my message to y'all and to y'all this morning. I love it. All right, because I can never remember the words. Yep. Joys and oh, no, the other way. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to invite our children to walk under the arms, under the covering that our congregation provides for you, to remind you of our love and protection, and to join our green team in the labyrinth and move on to the assembly room for an exercise this morning.
Good morning. I am Michael Lewis, a member of the Board of Trustees. We invite you now into the practice of generosity. It is one of the spiritual values that sustains the life and ministries of the church community. Let us be grateful for the opportunity to give, for it is a privilege to be able to do so. And let us be grateful for our needs, for they give us the opportunity to practice receiving. Our Share the Plate for August, we are going to be honoring Harbor House as our recipient. Let's learn a bit about Harbor House from Jess, the Marketing and Communications Manager of that organization.
Hi, my name is Jess. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager at Harbor House of Central Florida. Harbor House of Central Florida is Orange County's only state-certified domestic violence service provider. Our vision is to be a leader in transforming all lives impacted by domestic abuse, and we are doing so through our mission of preventing and breaking the cycle of abuse through empowerment-based programs, advocacy, education, and community involvement. At Harbor House, all of our services are free and confidential and support all lives impacted by domestic abuse. as we know that not only survivors are impacted, but friends, family, children, pets, and other members of our community too. Some of the free and confidential services that we offer at Harbor House. We have our 24/7 confidential hotline, which is the gateway to all of our services. When someone calls our hotline, they are greeted by one of our trained and privileged advocates, where they create a safety plan tailored to their exact situation, because we recognize that every domestic violence situation is different. We also have our 24/7 confidential emergency shelter, providing a safe getaway for survivors, their children, and their pets. It is a short-term 10 to 12-week program where we provide housing, basic needs such as food, clothing, transportation, and more. In addition to our emergency shelter, we have an on-site pet kennel where we can keep our pets and their survivors safe together, with a veterinary fund to help medical expenses for those pets so we can keep them healthy and safe too. And our court and legal advocates assist survivors filing injunctions and navigating the court and legal system. With that, we do have injunction for protection attorneys who support our survivors in court. For survivors who do not need emergency shelter, we do have a wonderful outreach case management program where survivors can work with a case manager as long as they wish to for safety planning, referrals, counseling, support groups, and so much more. Our list of services is extensive and it goes beyond what we discussed today. But we provide services for survivors and all lives impacted by abuse from start to finish and beyond. If you or someone you know is being abused, please contact our emergency hotline at 407-886-2856 and one of our advocates will assist. And we thank you. We are truly honored to be considered for your August Share the Plate program. There are other ways you can support Harbor House if you're interested. You can always volunteer or donate. We also have many events throughout the year that support and benefit our survivors. To learn more about all of these initiatives, please email contact us at harborhousefl.com. Again, thank you.
Please use the link in the newsletter or on the screen to donate directly to Harbor House. Let one you know that you have donated. The offering will now be collected. Let let us joyfully receive what is offered here today in the spirit of gratitude and fellowship.
This is the time that we set aside for the deep sharing of our hearts and for prayer and meditation. If you have a sorrow that you need witnessed or help with, or have a joy that you wish to share, please contribute to our collective sharing of joys and sorrows to be read each Sunday morning. You can send an email to joysandconcerns@orlandouu.org during the week, or if you're attending in person, you can also fill out a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher before the start of service. After our meditation, we will call you forward to participate in our candle lighting ritual as we all bring our joys and sorrows forward. Come as you are. Your whole self is welcome in this sacred space we are creating together. Our joys from 1U today are the Spoon family thanks the First Unitarian Community for joining in Pat Spoon's celebration of life. They add that it meant a lot to our family, also to those who gave up time Saturday, help with the food arrangements, a special thank you. And also Kathy Spoon provides today's flowers in loving memory of Pat Spoon. We have a concern that was shared and submitted by Margaret McLaren. Please send positive thoughts and prayers to Nancy Kelman. She's been falling and may not be able to come to church. She plans to visit her this week and will update us all next week. Also from Patty Reynolds, Sherry Rondi's brother died on 7/31/23. His name was Barry Anschutz. Cards and calls are welcome. And we have several joys to share with you. First, congratulations to Cammie Horn on getting accepted for a music therapy internship starting in early 2024. She will be working for 6 months at a mental and behavioral health facility in Kansas City. And she's headed back to Florida Gulf Coast University for one more semester, beginning this week. We'll miss you, Cammie. And a joy from Jeannie Carter. My only niece just gave birth to her first child, a healthy girl. I don't have children, so this is my closest thing to a grandchild, says Jeannie. Congratulations. And Chip and Tony Dockery share a double joy. Yesterday was their 51st wedding anniversary. Congratulations. And today is Tony's 82nd birthday. Wonderful. And Chip Dockery again and Black Cat Open Mike have a big thank you to John Brockman. July 14th marked the end of John's tenure as Black Cat chairperson in audio tech. After 8 years of hard work keeping Black Cat going as the oldest continually operating open mic around here, he is focusing his skills elsewhere. Thank you, John.
From the larger community, we hold the fears and sorrows of all, including the loss of life due to tornadoes and war and the effects of global warming that seek to limit, global agendas, which is bigger than global warming, that seek to limit the full humanness of life. And today we hold in our hearts all the people impacted 78 years ago by the USA dropping the atomic bomb over Japan. As we hold the joys of our collective Unitarian Universalism, our aspirations of love and generosity, transformation, equity, pluralism, and interdependence, justice, love. In a world that depends on an abiding hope for the future. And for all the joys and sorrows of this community that are shared, that are held close to our hearts. Let's take a moment now to pray. Let's celebrate, and let's send healing energies into the world. As we move into our meditation time, this meditation was written by Unitarian Universalist minister Susan Manker-Seal. Please take a breath with me as we settle ourselves, awakening our inner sacred wisdom while opening up to the holy. Out of our yearning, we speak to the God, the Goddess, the Spirit of life, the eternal. We speak to the mysterious thread that connects us one to the other and to the universe. We speak to the deep wisdom at the center of our beings. We embody the yearning of all people to touch each other more deeply, to hear each other more keenly, to see each other's joys and sorrows as our own, and know that we are not alone. Unless we create solitude for ourselves, and even then, community awaits us. May we help each other to proclaim the possibilities we see, to create the community we desire, to worship what is worthy in our lives, to teach the truth as we know it, and to serve with justice in all the ways that we can, to the end that our yearning is assuaged and our lives fulfilled in one another. Let us go now into the silence of this faith that is so unique to each of us and still the same. Let us be silent together for a moment. May peace be yours. You're invited to honor both your joys and your sorrows in a candle lighting ritual. You may come forth to light or remain in your seats as this community holds you in love. And after the candle lighting, we will all sing together today's centering hymn, Spirit of Life.
the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Beloveds, it is so great to be with you this morning. I'm always so happy to be here. I love books, and I am sure I'm the only person in this room that loves books, right? I'll be referencing a few books throughout the sermon today, but most will come from a book called Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. This book I pick up over and over again when I need courage or to remember who I want to be. One of my favorite learnings from Sister Outsider is this. Lorde says, "I have come to believe over and over again that what is most important must be spoken, made verbal and shared, even at the risk of having it bruised or misunderstood, that the speaking profits me beyond any other effect." Wow, have you ever heard such a powerful statement for truth-telling? You may have already heard this quote before if you've read the book. It's one that is often shared when we want people to be brave, to speak up, to dig deep into the courage that they have inside of them. She shares further down that, "My silences do not protect me. Your silences will not protect you." But that's human nature, right? We want to believe that if we are safe, if we don't rock the boat, we will be okay, we'll be safe. And yet, in every moment that matters and we don't speak our truths or use our power to make space for others to speak their truths, we are telling ourselves, our bodies, our spirits that we are not real, that we don't matter, that they are not real, that they don't matter. The truth is not always fun. Sometimes it is soul-crushing. It can be painful, and yet we have to own it. So truth time. I've spent my entire life being so ashamed that I am messy. Not only am I messy, but when I'm in a space and I have things, I have to spread them all out so that I can see them. Because neat little stacks of paper make me anxious, and if I can't see it, it doesn't exist anymore. You know those cute little wicker baskets that you have to hide things? Yeah, I have lots of those, and I hate them. I've tried all the organization tips and tricks. I have the books, all the books, y'all. Marie Kondo, I've got like 2 copies. I have label makers. I think I have 2 of those too. And this has been a constant stress in my life because I want my house to look like Martha Stewart living, right? Like, who doesn't? And that's never going to happen. I'm not capable of having things the way the world tells me I should. So I realized 2 things. One, if I want a neat and orderly space, I'm gonna have to hire a professional organizer to do it and maintain it. And then the second thing I realized is that I needed to see my things because I have ADHD, and if it's out of sight, it doesn't exist anymore. So for me, it's a whole thing, losing things and finding things, but it's not something to be ashamed about. It's something I can adjust to. So anyway, once I owned this truth about myself and owned why it benefited me, I suddenly stopped believing that this was a defect or a character flaw. I started to see my messiness for what it was, a coping strategy that worked for me but could be tweaked just a little. Now I've shared something about myself that was really hard to share, so now it's your turn. In just a moment, you will turn to your neighbor and share something about yourself. It doesn't have to be a secret or deeply personal, just something that they may not know about you. You could share your love of donuts or that you can't swim. We're gonna keep it simple. And I'll give you just 1 minute for both of you to share, so about 30 seconds. And if you're online, feel free to share in the chat or to send a message directly to someone else in the room. I'm gonna pause for just 1 minute. All right, and if you haven't switched, switch to the next person. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being willing to share something about yourself. And if you didn't get a chance to share, take time today to share something new with someone new. The truths we are willing to share are how we're able to form connection in community. We can't hide from ourselves. We can pretend and we can ignore, but there will come a time when we will have to face the truth of who we are. This truth that Lord speaks of came as the result of waiting to hear about the results from a cancer screening that she had. And y'all, there's no truth point more real than confronting your own mortality. There's nothing scarier than knowing the end is coming and you have so much to do and so much to say to confront yourself and others. And we know this to be true because we live it. Right now across the country, there are bills being passed to tear families apart, punish women, and make targets of the LGBT community. The harm against our Black and brown siblings continues at an alarming rate. These people are your next door neighbors, your friends you go hiking with, and the cashier at the local coffee shop, your siblings, your children, your friends. And each day, they are forced to endure macroaggressions that you will never hear about. There's nothing micro about the pain of racist and ableist jokes and have no power to call in the behavior. There is too much silence, friends. Not enough truth is being spoken about the ways these laws will tear us apart. What the silence is already doing to our communities. And yes, it feels hopeless to stand up against conservatives who have endless resources to make all of this happen. And yet, if we believe in the love that we profess, we cannot be silent. We cannot allow our community members to feel isolated and alone because we are afraid to speak up for what we know is true. So who are you? How do you interrupt bad behavior? How do you lift up learning and growth? We know that each person has a humanity deserving of dignity and worth. We say that all the time. We know that an ethic of love grounds us. We know that more guns will not fix the inescapable violence of this time. We know. We know because we can't stop talking about it in our inner circles, in the church. We hear these truths on NPR. We hear these truths during coffee hour, but it's not enough, friends. How do we take these conversations beyond our walls? Who are you? Who do you want to be in the larger community? I want to be clear, this is not a shaming game. There is no shame in knowing this and not being able to speak up. There's no shaming into action. I'm not here to lecture you or to scold you, but to encourage you. This practice of truth-telling and becoming who we want to be is a muscle. We must use it or it will atrophy. We do not come out of the womb knowing how to walk, and some of us never learn, and that is okay. We do what we can. We move from where we are. We learn what we can. We lean into our strengths. If you have the power to speak your own truth, you will give permission for others to do the same. You don't have to speak for them. You only need to create the space. So let's think about what it means to create space for truth. What does that look like in your family, in your congregation, in your community? There are opportunities for sharing and listening all across the country. This summer, I get to work with the People Stations through the UU Chaplaincy Program. In my community of Macon, Georgia, which is the land of the Muskogee and Hittichi people, I'll get to set up a station for listening. There are other opportunities like Sidewalk Talk that offer the same. If you're a fan of NPR, any fans of NPR in here? There's StoryCorps, great opportunity just to listen to other people's stories. There are opportunities out there for us to plug into. We don't have to recreate it. So where are the opportunities in the Orlando area? How do you think your life would change hearing the truth about what the families go through here that are at the domestic violence shelter? What about the veteran who's unhoused? What about the woman who's tried over and over again to coexist peacefully with her drug addiction? Do you think any of those lives have value? Need space to be validated? What is our role in this? Lord says, we can learn to work and speak when we are afraid, in the same way we have learned to work and speak when we are tired. We are always tired, y'all. For we have been socialized to respect fear more than our own needs for language and definition. And while we wait in silence for that final luxury of fearlessness, the weight of that silence will choke us. The fact that we are here and that I speak these words is an attempt to break that silence and bridge some of those differences between us. For it is not difference which immobilizes us, but silence. And there are so many silences to be broken. She is right, there are so many silences to be broken. Okay, one more book. On my plane ride home from a trip, I was determined to read a few pages of the book I brought with me. I had to justify the space in my bag, right? This book is called Dusk, Night, Dawn, on Revival and Courage, and it's written by Anne Lamott. I picked up this book at an old book sale, and honestly, I had no idea what it was about. I am a big fan of Lamott, and so I saw her name, and then it just came home with me. As I started to read, I realized that I needed to read the inner flap because she's telling this beautiful story, and I don't know where she's going with it, and I needed to know. And so here are the first 2 lines of that inner flap description. It says, "How can we recapture the confidence we once had as we stumble through the dark times that seem increasingly bleak? How can we cope as bad news piles up around us? In dusk, night, dawn, Lamont shows us the intimate and individual ways we can adapt and move through life's dark places and towards the light of hope that still burns for all of us. Y'all, who doesn't need that message right now? So in this book, Lamont tells the story of her niece, Ali, who was in a fatal accident and killed a man while under the influence of alcohol. And she's telling the story to her Sunday school class. I think they're probably middle schoolers. Ali was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Lamont asked the kids a few questions about how they felt about this, and they shared. I won't tell you the whole story. It is so worth going to read the book. I'll just tell you that there's a point in the story that she's telling Ali, the niece, starts to attend AA meetings in prison. And at first she says she's not an alcoholic, she's just a social drinker with bad luck. The people around her don't correct her. They don't need to. Eventually she realizes on her own that she is an alcoholic, and then something inside her changes. When she owned the truth about who she was and what she did, she finally was able to start the process of healing, to start a journey of redemption. So spoiler alert, she starts that journey by joining the volunteer conservation program through the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. She couldn't bring back the life of the man she killed, but she could be a helper. Lamont explained this to the children. She said that her redemption could be a life of love and service to others. And Ali changed. After she confronted the hard truth about her choices, about who she was, she became different. And we don't have time for the rest of the story, unfortunately. You should definitely go grab that book. But I want you to think about who you are right now. We are all beautiful, incredible humans that do good and make mistakes. The truth of that does not change our inherent worth or dignity. It does not change the depth of love we have to offer the world, nor our need to be loved. It does not change our capacity to decide who we are and who we want to be. So I ask again, who are you, really? Who do you want to be? What truth are you willing to tell to get there? What truth are you willing to share with the next generation? What fear are you willing to let go of for love? How can you show up for the people in the margins who need to be heard in order to be free? Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing the hymn, We Are. The words will be displayed on the screen.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandmother's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions, sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayer. we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Thank you all for being here. Once the World Was Perfect by Joy Harjo. Once the world was perfect and we were happy in this world. Then we took it for granted. Discontent began a small rumble in the earthly mind. Then doubt pushed through with its spiked head. And once doubt ruptured the web, all manner of demon thoughts jumped through. We destroyed the world we had been given for inspiration, for life. Each stone of jealousy, each stone of fear, greed, envy, and hatred put out the light. No one was without a stone in his or her hand. There we were, right back where we had started. We were bumping into each other in the dark. And now we had no place to live, since we didn't know how to live with each other. Then, one of the stumbling ones took pity on another and shared a blanket. A spark of kindness made a light. The light made an opening in the darkness. Everyone worked together to make a ladder. A Wind Clan person climbed out first into the next world. And then the other clans, the children of those clans, their children, and their children, all the way through time to now and to this morning light to you.
Please say these words with me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.